Hey everyone. So, who remembers actually what Nathan spoke about last week? Other than Nathan. It's 2 words starting with F. Oh, yes. Fear and faith. Got it. Well done. Yeah, you did. You did, Smitty. So, obviously, the topic of the term is battles. So, yes, I'm talking about the battle of the words. So basically, I can almost guarantee, like I'm not a betting person, I don't really even know how to bet, but anyway, if I was a betting person, I would lay money down tonight that every single person in this room has been affected either positively or negatively by something someone said. Yep, hands down, good bet, good odds, I guess, if that's what you say. I'm not sure, because I don't know the lingo. But words have power. Words can build us up or they can tear us down. They can encourage us or they can discourage us. It's not necessarily about how many words we speak, though I like to speak a lot of words. It's actually about the quality of the words that we speak. So I want to read a Bible verse. It's from James 3. It seems really long, I'm sorry, but it's good, so listen carefully. Don't be in a rush to become a teacher, my friends. Teaching is highly responsible work. Teachers are held to the strictest standards, and none of us is perfectly qualified. We get it wrong nearly every time we open our mouths. If you could find someone whose speech was perfectly true, you'd have a perfect person in perfect control of life. A bit in the mouth of a horse controls the whole horse. A small rudder on a huge ship in the hands of a skilled captain sets a course in the face of the strongest winds. A word out of your mouth may seem of no account, but it can accomplish nearly anything or destroy it. It only takes a spark, remember, to set off a forest fire. A careless or wrongly placed word out of your mouth can do that. By our speech, we can ruin the world, turn harmony to chaos, throw mud on a reputation, send the whole world up in smoke, and go up in smoke with it, smoke from the pit of hell. This is scary. You can tame a tiger, but you can't tame a tongue. It's never been done. The tongue runs wild, a wanton killer. That's just funny. With our tongue, we bless God our Father. With the same tongues, we curse the very men and women he made in his image. Curses and blessings out of the same mouth. My friends, this can't go on. A spring doesn't gush fresh water one day and brackish the next, does it? Apple trees don't bear strawberries, do they? Raspberry bushes don't bear apples, do they? You're not going to dip into a polluted mud hole and get a cup of clear, cool water, are you? And then it goes on to 17 to 18. Real wisdom, God's wisdom, begins with a holy life and is characterized by getting along with others. It is gentle and reasonable, overflowing with mercy and blessings, not hot one day and cold the next, not two-faced. You can develop a healthy, robust community that lives right with God and enjoys its results only if you do the hard work of getting along with one another, treating each other with dignity and honor. In this Bible verse, oh, there it is. In this Bible verse, it actually speaks very strongly about the power of our speech. At the beginning of the verse, it talks about that no one is perfectly qualified. We get it wrong nearly every time we open our mouth. So basically, it's saying we all make mistakes. That's going to happen, right? But the challenge is how can we learn to control our words and use them better? Though we may get it wrong, how can we try at least to do better? So I did a bit of research, right? Because the next verse talks about horses. And I'm not really an expert when it comes to horses, right? I know, I'm an expert in a lot of things, but horses, not so much. Or ships, I'm not really qualified in the area of ships either. But I just tend to stick clear of horses because I'm a social worker and I work with youth, and one of the kids I worked with once, she got kicked in the head by a horse. Yeah, it really damaged her, hey. So I've kind of steered clear of the horses because I don't, Yeah, she was beautiful. But anyway, she's still alive. She's alive, man. She's succeeding in life. It's fine. But she got kicked in the head. And it was really not funny, but it was a Horses for Healing program where they use, So, a bit controversial. But anyway, we have these friends that we call, like, you know when you've got like fake aunties and uncles? Yeah. So we've got these friends and they live in a place in the country, Victoria. About a year and a half, I think, or 2 years ago, we went to their house and they like breed horses and they go on like rides and stuff. And so I got to actually hang out with horses and I patted one and I thought that was very brave. Anyway, so thanks for the encouragement. Basically, I did this research into horses because I was like, what is a bit? Like, does anyone here know what a bit is? Oh, okay. Well, you're more advanced than me. That's okay. So basically, I learned that apparently, historically, horses were seen as a symbol of strength, endurance, beauty, and loyalty. And actually, men, back, sometimes would request to be buried next to their horse instead of their wives. Isn't that weird? Anyway, that's just an interesting point I put in there because I found that out and I thought, that's interesting. But I guess they were saying that horses were actually these really powerful animals. And actually there's accounts where battles occurred. And if the one side had horses and people battling it out with the horses, then they're more likely to win, right? So anyway, that all brings me to the fact of this bit. So the bit in the horse's mouth is like a little metal thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, people who know stuff about horses. And basically it helps control the horse, like the direction of where the horse is going to go. And so basically they use it to tame horses and stuff. That right? People who know horses? Thank you. My research was good. So basically there's this powerful animal, this horse that can kick people in the head and stuff, is actually controlled by this smallest of metal bits that's in its mouth. And through it, it learns to obey every command that its master has. That's pretty cool. Also, I did some research into ships because I didn't know what a rudder was. Sorry, the guys. I didn't know what a rudder was. Come on. So anyway, you can correct me again if I'm wrong, right? But basically, the ship manipulates the course of a vessel with a slight movement of the pilot's hand. So the captain, what are they called? I don't know, ship, captain. Whatever, I said pilot, didn't mean it. Captain, it's like something that's under the boat. And it steers the boat. So they were saying that the wind there can be like extraordinary winds, but actually if you've got a skilled captain, they can still control the boat and the wind doesn't drag it away, right? So that's what they tell me. That's what I learned when I was learning about ships and horses, which is exactly what you want to be doing every night. So basically, a word out of the mouth may seem of no account. It may seem small, but it can accomplish nearly anything or destroy it. So this led me to think, after all this research, my brain is just full of research this week. So after thinking about that, I started thinking about how small the mouth is, which is a weird thing to think about. But I was like, really, in comparison to my hand, I know some people who can fit their fists in their mouths. I can't do that. But in comparison to my hand, it's actually quite a small part of the body in proportion to the rest of our bodies. But yet, in the verse that I just read, it states that the words that we produce from this small part of our body can have devastating effects. It can have positive effects, but it can have devastating effects. We are warned in this verse that the size of the tongue is no measure of the power that it can wield. Just as the tiniest of sparks can ignite a giant fire, so the smallest of words spoken unwisely can cause immeasurable harm. This is only what I just read, one verse, chapter in a series of Bible verses that speak about the power of words. There's another one in Ephesians 4. It says, "Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. And do not bring sorrow to God's Holy Spirit by the way you live. Remember, He has identified you as His own, guaranteeing that you will be saved on the day of redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as the types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you." And in Proverbs 18:21, it says, "Words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit. You choose." Now, I've only picked 3 different Bible verses. There are so many that mention the power of our words. And in that last thing it says, words kill or words give life. Words give life. To give you a view of the power of the words can have, I want to read from Psalms 33. It actually speaks about a bit of the creation story, how the world was created. And it actually speaks about how when God spoke, the world began. That's how powerful the word can be. That God could speak and a whole world is created. Like, that is crazy that the word is so powerful. God spoke the world into being. When I was your age, there was this, I can't actually remember what happened, but I know that there was this lady that went to my church, right? And she was probably the first person I went to, one of the first people that I did small groups with. And I remember one day, I probably wasn't a great example of using my words for good when I was a teenager. I don't think I was meaning to be nasty, but I just think there were times when I probably didn't think about what I said and the influence that I may have had. Anyway, I remember I must have been saying something bad. I can't remember what it was. And she turned to me and she goes, "Words of life, Megan." And that honestly has stuck with me. And every time, I think it became kind of saying at the church I was going to at the time, where people would just be like, words of life, just as a gentle encouragement that we need to speak life into one another instead of speaking things that are going to cause destruction and death. That's kind of what I want you guys to take away from tonight. That we can actually use our words to build up one another. That we can use our words to bring life to one another. And that's the battle. That's what I want us to choose. That side. That's the good side. Not only do I say that we should speak words of life into one another, but I also say that we should actually surround ourselves with people who are going to speak words of life into us. I am so lucky because I have some great friends and great family that constantly speak life into me. Just before I came tonight, my sister-in-law sent me a text message, and it was so simple. She was just like, "Oh, I hope it goes well tonight," whatever. And I was just like, she just honestly encourages me every step of the way. There's not a time that she doesn't make me feel like I can't do it. She makes me feel like I can do anything. And they're the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with. People who tell you you can do it. People who tell you you're awesome. People who tell you that nothing can stop you. They're the kind of people you should surround yourself with. And they're the kind of people that you should want to become. Those people that, you know what, your friends just want to be around because you're so positive and they're like, wow, I just want to be around you all the time. You know those people that are so encouraging, and I'm just like, I love spending time with you because you make me feel so good. Yeah. Anyway, sometimes we just need to stop and think. Just like I had to stop when I couldn't speak for a week. I guess it did make me think about the words that I speak, and it made me actually want to look after my voice. But aside from that, it made me think about the fact that even though I like to speak and I speak plenty of words, are my words even, what am I actually speaking? Because I could speak heaps of words in a day, but are they actually doing anything? Are they having a good effect or a bad effect, or are they just nothing, really? So I started, like I said, I was a social worker. I am a social worker, youth worker. And I guess I kind of, I remember the first shift that I did. I did residential care, so I worked with teenagers, and I remember like I'd done my training and whatever, and they kind of asked me if I wanted to do this shift, a sleepover shift at this house, and I was like, there was 3 teenage boys there, and they were pretty full-on boys, and I was like, yep, throw me in, like that's the best way I'll learn if you just put me in there. So I was like, there was one there that was quite difficult, and my manager was like, don't worry, he's not coming home tonight, like he's sleeping somewhere else, so you'll be fine, like you can do it. And of course, he came home, and I was like, there all by myself. It was my first shift, and everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. Like, it was crazy. It was like a crazy house. Police were called, neighbours were complaining. It was just like crazy. And we have this service called an on-call service, and basically it's just like other people who work in the industry that worked at your work that you could call up and just kind of seek advice from. So I was like, okay, I'll call because this is a bit crazy. And I called, and I just want to say that, like, just to hear someone else's voice when I was in a place where I felt alone and overwhelmed was just so peaceful and made me feel so much better. And the person on the other end of the phone, I mean, if they had been like abusive to me or like told me I couldn't do it, like, you know, I would have probably packed up and just gone home and then and there, and I would not be working in social work now. But instead, they actually encouraged me. They told me I could do it, that I'd be okay, that I was doing a good job. And here I am, like 7 years later, I'm still working with youth. So I just think, like, in that moment, there was just like someone on the other end of a phone had such an impact. And so when I then, 2 years later, I had to become the person on the other end of the phone. I did on-call and people would ring. I remembered that. I was like, I remember how the people treated me when I was ringing them all distressed. So I wanted to become that person. So I would just... I guess I realised the power of words, and the words that I could speak to this worker could either, you know, just make them want to pack it in or make them know that they could keep going. And I guess in that moment, I just was like, I want to be the louder voice. I want to be the voice that people hear and they're comforted by. I don't want to be this other voice that tears them down. And so I guess my encouragement to you tonight is to be that louder voice, to be the words of life in a world where sometimes or every day people's lives are being destroyed by the power of the destruction of words. I'm not perfect at all. I like to pretend I am, but I'm not. I actually still say things that I shouldn't, like ship and stuff. Like I did just before. I don't have it all right. I don't have all the answers. I do say things that I shouldn't say. I gossip when I shouldn't gossip. There's times when I've said stuff and I'll go home and think about it because I'm like, I cannot believe I just said that to someone. So I don't have it all right, but I'm going to keep trying. And that's what I just encourage you tonight to do, that you don't have to have all the answers. Like the Bible verse at the beginning said, is that you don't have to be perfect at it. But just, it's about the heart and about what you're wanting to try and do. On the other side, so I've spoken a bit about words of life, and I've kind of put them off around the room. But is words of death. Words that kill. Words of destruction, discouragement, bitterness, gossip, slander, hatred. I don't actually want to speak long about these words because I think we hear it enough, but there's a couple of things I want to say. One is that, has anyone heard the saying, sticks and stones might break my bones, but names will never hurt me? Man, I just want to say tonight, that's crap. It's the crappiest little saying going around. Of course names hurt you. Like, I get it that you're probably meant to say that to yourself, so it makes you believe they don't, but they do. Words hurt. They can be hurtful. They can pierce through your heart like a double-edged sword. That's what it says in the words. Words can destroy us. If there's one thing, there's a lot of things that make me angry. I don't get angry very often. There's a lot of things that make me angry. And one of them is bullying. I cannot stand it when people pick on other people. I just, like, it makes me so angry. Why? Why do we need to tear other people down by calling them names or gossiping about them or trying to make them look bad in the eyes of other people? Why do we have to do that? Yet, in Australia at the moment, statistics will say that 1 in 4 people, that's like 1 in every 4 of you, is getting bullied in school. That is a hugely high statistic. That 1 in 4 of you is getting beaten down by the words of other people at school. And it doesn't just happen now. Like in my day, not that I'm that old, but in my day we didn't have Facebook and I didn't have Instagram. So now it's not just the words that we're saying, it's the words that we're writing. Cyberbullying happens every day, 24/7. People have access to this stuff. It's not just when they're out with their friends, it's when they're home in their bedrooms and suddenly they're reading like awful things about themselves. And I'm here to say tonight that just needs to stop, man. Like, if you are involved in any of that, then stop it. It actually kills people. It is destroying people's lives. And that's not what we're in the business of doing. We may have spoken words of death over people. We may have spoken words that haven't encouraged and uplift people. I know I have. I've spoken that over people's lives. But on the other hand, we may have had them spoken over our lives. People telling us that we are not good enough, that we will never be good enough, that we were a mistake, that we are ugly, that nobody likes us, that we don't fit in, that we're weirdos, not in a good weirdo way, but in a bad weirdo way, that we are dumb, that we're never going to amount to anything, that we are nothing. But I'm here to tell you tonight that Jesus, the Jesus that I know, he didn't create nobodies. Jesus says in his word, he says he made us in his image, that he knitted us together in our mother's womb. He knew about us before we were even born. Like, I don't believe that Jesus would create any of us to live as nobodies, to live as in this world of destruction and destroyingness where people are telling us this stuff about ourselves. The other thing I want to say is that as Jesus was taken to the cross, as he was arrested and then he was stripped of all his clothes, when he was at his most vulnerable, walking to go and die on a cross for nothing. He hadn't done anything. He was completely innocent. It says in the word that people mocked him, that people yelled things at him. People bullied him along the way. See, I believe in a Jesus who became a man and lived amongst us so that he could understand the things that we're going through. And I believe that Jesus understands what it is to be yelled at, to be spat at, to be told they're nothing. I believe Jesus understands. And I believe that you can call on him and he's there to comfort you. I also believe that he loves you. That you are his child and he's pleased with you. And in the word it also says that Jesus has made you new. I believe that when you accept Jesus as your savior, that you are made new, that the old is gone. And I believe that the words that have been spoken over your life can be broken in Jesus' name. And that we don't have to live believing lies. And they are lies. So, I guess I kind of wanted to do 2 things tonight. The first is that I believe that there's been negative words spoken over people's lives in this room. I believe that people that not just negative words have been spoken over your life, but that it's got to a point where you actually believe the words that have been spoken over your life. Words that have tried to destroy you. Words that tell you that you are nothing, that you're no one. And like I said, I believe in a Jesus that wants to free you of that. I believe in a Jesus that says that he loves you wholeheartedly and that he has a plan for your life and that he sees you as his child. And I think that tonight he wants to free you of those words. He wants you to not have to sit here any longer thinking those things about yourself because someone told you. But he wants you to be able to step out of this room tonight living in freedom, believing that you are worth something because you are worth something. And so I guess we always say this, I feel like we want you to be brave tonight. And I'm going to actually get some leaders to come up, but I just want, if that's you, if this is speaking to you in any way, if you've had people speak stuff over your life and you want it to be broken tonight, then I just ask that you stand up and that we'll have leaders who can come and pray for you. And like I said, I believe that Jesus can break it. And I also believe that this is a safe space where we are all loved and we love one another, and that we want to be a youth group, this Rev, that is about speaking words of life over people